Well, we're at 6:01. Assume he's running late, but in the meantime, any objections to, wait a minute, online, any objections to excusing Councilman Johnson at the moment?
None.
All right, we'll consider Councilman Johnson excused until or if he arrives. All right, City Clerk, please note, attendance. We'll move on with the approval of the agenda, which is minutes, agenda bill, and then council agenda. Any alterations to the agenda? All right, we'll move on with the agenda as presented. At this stage, we'll take public comment. Are there any individuals wishing to make public comment for the committee? I need to get on the proper one. All right, hearing nobody wish to make public comment, we'll move on with the agenda. Approval of the minutes dated December 3, 2024. Chair has no word. May note, Councilman Johnson is here. So mark that, attendance, he was tardy, as teachers might like to say.
You're gonna make him fill out.
He's gonna have to fill out a form and,
I'll have my mom call in.
your mom called it. Anywho, all right, any, revisions or questions regarding to the minutes? All right, if there are no agenda, we'll take the, unless somebody doesn't want, we'll take the minutes as presented as approved. Hearing no objections, the minutes are approved. Approval of warrants and claims, consideration and claims report dated December 9th, 2024. Chair has reviewed, have no questions, and have received no questions in the email from other council members. Anybody else on the committee wishing to ask questions or have comment?
Nope.
All right, any objections to taking the claims report as presented? All right, we'll take the claims report for December 9th, 2024 as presented. All right, let's move to Agenda Bill 25006, Council 2025 meeting calendar. Other than it is what it is there any other discussions in regards to it? At this stage, we have not assumed, last year, we kind of assumed no meetings in December. But we're
Right.
gonna-
So each year we bring the calendar forward so you can take a look at it visually. And so this calendar has everything on it, including like city holidays. We are asking to do the same thing we did in 2024 and to cancel the council meeting just prior to the Labor Day holiday, which would be right before school starts. And then also the second meeting in December. So this calendar doesn't reflect that change yet because it hasn't been approved, but that's what the agenda bill is asking for. So we were asking for then also to, if those were to be considered, we'd also request the council meeting, the council committee meetings just prior to those.
So what was the first one? Is that,
Be August 25th, which would be the Monday before Labor Day.
The committee's right before that. Chair.
yeah, go ahead.
So if memory serves, we tried that this year when we had a number of large items, but we were still able to get done within the calendar year. So I'm supportive of it. I like the idea of our staff being able to kind of plan ahead with vacations, feeling pretty secure in when they can schedule those. I like that idea.
I'm in support as well. I know that obviously we can stagger things to a certain extent to make sure that there's coverage if we need to, and there's obviously, if we have to, option to do it remote as well in case we need to special set anything, but it seems like a good option to allow folks the chance to get scheduled in whatever they need to get scheduled in before going back.
I'm of a different theory, but I won't object. There should be staff and council members enough that we could keep going, but okay. Alright, so, so as far as that one in the meeting on the 27th and our meeting in September and the committee meetings prior, let's go ahead and remove those from the calendar at this stage. Any objections to removing the council meeting on December 22nd and the committee meetings prior to that on the 15th and 16th?
No.
All right, so let's take that to council with those also taken off, and we'll proceed forward with the calendar. I saw it in here.
Okay.
Well, I saw oath of office. I don't know the introduction, please, chaplain. Fine. That may be me. With that, let's move on. Discussion item, amending agenda bills and motions. I guess I asked for that. I understand at time to make grammatical changes, but I am of a firm belief that once it comes to a public meeting, such as council, the only time to then change it is in the public eye, which means we do a motion to revise in council to do whatever revisions we are. I've seen a couple of occasions where we've had discussions at committee and those discussions result in a changed agenda bill on the council agenda the night of council. And I'm stuck in the mud. I don't like that. My preference is if it comes out approved here, and even if we discuss a change, let's have that change and then we can motion to substitute. So that the record shows it was the same thing leaving committee that went into council and then changed in council. Okay, not that it left committee under one form and appears in council in another form, just as as the attached agenda. Okay, that's my grousing. Okay, so take with it what you want. But if I get into those situations, it's more than a grammatical change, you'll hear me grouse again. Okay.
So to make sure that I understand the concern, it's, I'm just gonna try to like walk through what this sounds like to me, is we have an agenda bill that comes to council in a certain form, and let's say that it's a first reading of an ordinance, for example. We decide, we think that maybe there's something that the committee should look at, so they go and take a look at it, come back 2 weeks later, and now we have a different agenda bill that has a substantial change to it. And that is what's presented in council. And that what should happen is that it comes back in its original form, but that there is a substitute bill that is ready, or that the motion is made to do the amendment in the council meeting, but that the change is not made in the committee where the original version goes away.
Well, we could change, so case in point, the discussion we had in the prior meeting. We could have, as we're talking rates, we could have had a committee have gone and said, oh, let's change the rates. And then move that forward to council. At least that was done within the public forum. Okay, but we did have discussions, oh, we'd like the rates a little less. What I don't want to see is the agenda bill that comes to council to be at that undiscussed but lower rates. Even if we have a solution, there should be what came out, what was documented out of committee goes to council. And if we have a solution with lower rate, that comes as a motion to substitute or amend to incorporate that change
At the council meeting, but
at the
not
council meeting.
at the committee meeting.
If it not, we could change it at committee meeting before it goes to council, but not after.
Right.
But so if we're gonna do that, I would then request that we at least be able to review the proposed changes before so that we have a chance to take notes and do all of that, right?
Well, if it's that substantive a change, we ought to kick it back to committee and have that discussion at committee
Okay.
and change it at committee, moving it moving the revised committee bill to council then the second time.
Okay, as long as it's, because I thought I heard you both saying something slightly different, so I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I want to
that
make sure we're all talking about the same
because I
thing.
wasn't at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Because I thought that Mayor Pro Tem's concern was that if we have something coming from committee and it subsequently changed from whatever was discussed in committee to council, that's the issue. But then if something was in council and it goes back to committee where it is being changed,
That's a cycle all over. again.
but then whatever it was changed in council would come, excuse me, whatever was changed at committee would then come to council for consideration.
Right.
Okay,
But it shouldn't change between committee and council.
yeah, like once the meeting is closed, it shouldn't change at that point. Okay,
Okay.
She's.
so is that different than what you
she's-
were thinking?
Yes.
So sorry.
No, I think that I'm following now, but
May,
Yeah.
may I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
So like, we just had a committee meeting, the last one where, there was a requested change, the 10%. So in theory, because it was documented on the record, are you comfortable then with that change in, like, let's say we had a committee meeting, the committee recommends a change, it's documented at the council meeting saying, hey, we're good with this going to council, but with this change, I can't think of a good example. You don't need it to come back to committee. You're saying you're good with it going to council with that change because it was documented?
No,
and No, or are you saying the
Particularly not
opposite?
that, because we conceptually said we'd like 10%,
Mhm.
but we really didn't make a decision how to make
Right.
that 10%. But if, God bless you, you find a solution, an easy solution, what I would assume would come to council was the original agenda bill with the 12% in it. And then a version of it showing, here's how we can change it to 10%. And if you want to pick it up, we need to make an option, we need to make a motion to substitute.
So you'd be requesting then two agenda bills, kind of the original and then the one that there would be a motion to substitute.
Potentially, yes. I mean, if that change would revise the wordage of the agenda bill, but if it's just an attachment or something, then maybe just change the
Okay.
attachment. But that's
But-
dependent on the change.
But there would have to be, I guess, two versions in the packet.
Uh-oh. Shit, I saw that movement.
I don't
What?
think that's realistic. To have an agenda, a secondary
Yeah,
agenda bill
I-
being submitted. I think maybe a staff memo as something that could be added to the agenda bill or provided as a handout or something like that. I just don't think a whole nother agenda bill is good.
And I'm not hard set of how the change is done. I'm more that the change, when the change needs to occur, that would be either in council or committee. And it needs to be done by motion of some sort. Whether it's just a memo of here are the changes or a revised attachment, or however, I leave that up to staff of how to do that. That's council being way too deep in the weeds to make that kind of call. Okay? I just don't want, you guys talk 10% and we revise the agenda bill. In the meantime, here's the revised agenda bill with a 10% to go to council next week. Worst case, not current administration, whatever, I've seen, well, Councilmember so-and-so came talk to me and so I changed this and here's the new agenda bill.
Right.
No. But that has not happened in recent history. Okay. Is that clear as mud?
Mhm.
think so.
Okay. I apologize if I'm being a grouch. I'm kind of sticky of what we do for the public. All right, let's move on to removal and storage of council chamber murals. You're taking away my bunny rabbit.
Oh, how about we just, I would just let the staff decide and they'll just bring it back to us at council meetings.
Well, are we, when were we proposing to take the murals away and is there something coming in replace or just the blank wall?
Well, this was
I think-
Chambliss's
Yeah,
item.
he went homesick.
Oh, so want to table this to next time when we want Mike here?
Well, we can come with a proposal as to what we would
Yeah.
put there, or maybe we just paint the wall, or we put Snoqualmie City Council behind it. I mean, there's different things that happen, but the goal would be to remove the art and actually there's some different options that we will look into that we would do with it. So I think with the museum, is there's museum in in Seattle that would that focuses on industry and, you know, history. And so this might be an option where we can actually donate it to them, that they would put it on display. So, or would put it in storage until we find the next usage for it. Or there's also Snoqualmie Valley Historic Museum that may take that as well. So. Mohai, I think it's Mohai that takes,
Is it a relatively simple process to remove these, or is it more involved?
they've been moved before.
It's relative.
Yeah, they've
Okay.
been moved before.
Although,
Yeah.
Right. So what I was thinking is, you know, is this something where we could have, you know, kind of like a print of the falls and downtown, we could swap them out periodically?
It'd probably be like an IT option, like some cool.
Take it down with the option of considering other things with and that out. There's different ways.
I guess I'm just thinking if we have the option for having cool murals, then if we removed that, then we wouldn't be able to do that again. Just something to think about. Or at least it'd be more substantial to reinsert something similar to what we have right now.
I think this would go with the frames. Is that what you're thinking? That the frames would stay?
Essentially, yeah, the frames could stay and we could just swap out the pictures with other things. You know, get some big printouts of the falls or whatever.
There's lots of options. And we do have an arts commission that can help figure that out.
If the frames are gone though, then we wouldn't have that option.
go ahead, Councilman Christensen.
I'd love to see it come back with the different options and some visuals of what it looked like.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
idea.
my only thing. We're talking a lot. I don't want these taken out and then a blank wall with holes where the bolts were and all that,
Yeah, right.
and everything else. So let's come back with a discussion of what are we gonna do
Yeah, where's the
before
options?
we take it away, and let's have that discussion. And I'm okay with a curtain, okay? But let's have that discussion before we take these away of what we're gonna put in place. Okay?
Really snow it's underneath.
Yeah.
Poke a hole.
Nothing too scary.
Your rats back there.
That would be over there. All right. Upcoming agenda bills. Informational only. All right, so when we discuss that, let's review draft city agenda.
So I handed out a paper one because it has been updated a little bit based upon what happened last night at committee meetings.
Okay. All right, so we'll start with a call to order, pledge of allegiance, approval of the agenda, then we'll go to public hearings. We'll have a public hearing in regards to the 2025-2030 utility rate adjustments. We'll move to appointments, ceremonial oath of office for police officer Wyatt Schonauer. Hopefully I didn't do too bad on
Pretty
that.
close.
That sounds good.
Yep.
I was just in Germany. Anyway. We'll do mayor pro tem, council liaison, appointments. Again, guys, you may be, we should do pro tem and then appointments. Give pro tem time to figure out appointments.
Yeah, I'm curious,
Um,
should we strike that item then, the appointments for now?
No, let's keep it at this stage.
We just, very brief discussion, I guess, unless someone
Um,
comes ready.
Unless someone comes ready.
Okay, that's fair. Quick question, Chair.
Yep.
add the introduction.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sorry, oath of office, and then we'll add introduction of police chaplain Pat Hammond.
Yes.
Yeah, can I get a quick description of what a police chaplain is? Is this a volunteer position?
It is, absolutely.
Okay.
They go out on calls.
Who was chaplain before?
I don't know that we've had one.
There was
for quite some
one.
time.
Yeah,
Did
there
we-
was one, and I know how he was appointed, so I'm just questioning. He was appointed because there was an accident. He was the only chaplain on site, and they said, "You're it." Was a good choice, but it was still an unusual process, and appropriate at the time. Don't let me be too facetious about how all that work occurred. Did we, what was the selection process?
I don't even know what a police chaplain is.
I think it
He,
was.
he does go on calls and especially if someone has passed away or whatever. And he actually was the police chaplain for Redmond for quite a while. But now he lives locally. He's retired. So this would be an as needed position. So
Okay.
So, but let me back up. How was he selected?
So it's an introduction of this person. So we're not actually appointing him. I think the police chief already did that.
So that's just a position that's, sorry, Chair.
But
So that's just a position that is kind of, I don't know if this is the right phrasing, but kind of serves at the pleasure of the police chief.
and probably helps out fire as well. And they also add commission appointment possibilities as well.
So, but, as we may unlikely do these things in the future, I am particular about what the process is. Just because somebody knows somebody, someone knows somebody shouldn't be the reason why we do these appointments. If it's a needed position, there ought to be a process under which interested parties in the community that we don't know about have an opportunity to say, hey, I'd like to too. Okay, so,
I did have the chance to sit down and talk with them to make sure he would be a good fit with the city. And he is free. And he has, like I said, has been the Redmond chaplain, I don't know how many years, but whatever.
and I'm not arguing against Pat at all. Okay, I'm just saying there may be another Pat out there that we don't know about, who we haven't given opportunity to because of the process we used. And moving forward, we ought to find a process under which those other Pats have opportunity also. Okay? All right, let's move on. Agenda Bill 2507, Mayor Pro Tem elections, and then we'll get to council liaisons. And we may have presentation proclamations, but right now, we have National Mentoring Month
Yes.
coming up. And then we'll get into public comments and consent agenda. At this time, consent agenda is approval of the city council meeting minutes for the 9th, approval of claims reports, an interlocal agreement renewal with King County for jail services, and interlocal agreement for fire garage consortium. What is a fire garage consortium?
It is the organization that we send our fire truck to and our ambulance to when it needs maintenance or to have additional things done to it.
Oh.
It's being operated out of one of the other fire entities, fire and emergency services entities. They separate but related entity. They handle a number of the local ones.
All right, and then we'll move into ordinances, Agenda Bill 2496, Transportation Impact Fee Program. Is that for approval?
Yes, third reading and approval.
And then we have Agenda Bill 2503, utility rate adjustment. Okay, that's an ordinance.
That would be first reading.
And discussion to be had there. All right. And then public safety, we've stricken the amendment to 2019 North Bend interlocal agreement for police services at this stage.
Right.
Let those conversations proceed on. And then we've got Snoqualmie Fire Department 2025-2030 strategic plan, which I assume is just presentation or
A brief presentation.
Community Development Committee currently has no agenda bills. Parks and Public Works has just the ordinance, no agenda bills. Finance, we have the calendar as we discussed. And then we move into committee as a whole, mayor's report, commission committee liaison reports, department reports, and placeholder for potential executive session pursuant to litigation. Do we know if we have anything at this stage, or is it a placeholder at this stage?
I think we're gonna have something.
Yeah, we will have something.
I will remove potential.
Hmm.
I will remove potential.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, then we'll move to adjournment. Any other revisions or comments in regard to what was read? Drew, I saw your hand.
Well, I have some final things to share after we get through the council agenda,
Okay.
so I'll pass it.
Councilor Johnson.
In terms of the chair's discussion of amending agenda bills and motions, that's great that we heard it. Some council members may choose to listen to this meeting, some may not, to make sure that everyone has gotten the message of the chair's concerns. I wonder if we either want to add that as a discussion item here, or if chair just wants to kind of send an email that's very much one way that no one replies to.
I'll take the action to send an email. I intentionally took it out of council last time to bring it back to here. I didn't want to have that discussion in council.
Okay.
Okay,
Will you also copy us on it?
yes,
Thank you.
you and Mike.
Send me-
And
May I be on the email too?
just gonna be, I was a grouse, I'm sorry.
You also include the reminder to council members not to
Yeah.
reply all, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
What you can do, one option is BCC, the blind carbon copy, because that way,
They can't see who all.
yeah, they can't.
No, I think she's saying that way they can't reply all.
Right, they can't reply all, and I could just start it with dear council, so they know. But yeah. All right. So we take the agenda as reviewed as approved? All right, it is approved. We're good to go. With that, I think we are at the end of the agenda, but Drew wants to throw something in.
Yes, go live was yesterday when it comes to payroll. It's exciting to say that the bank accepted the file yesterday before 5 o'clock. People were paid this morning, so we've received a lot of comments back from people that they received a check, which is great. That's the first question that we asked is, did you receive
Just to
something?
receive the right amount.
Second question is, did the amount look reasonable or reflective of what you may have received in the past? And so those two questions have been really answered pretty much in the affirmative. We do have issues that we are working through, so we know that we have to fix the accrual tables, so people's leave balances and things like that. We're working on that, and in some cases, the pay stub information may be missing certain categories as a part of that. But also part of that comes with interpretation of the new pay stub too, because it's not reflective of the old one. And certainly this morning, we received a flood of responses to the questions that we asked to everyone, and we are working through those. But otherwise, I'm feeling pretty good. Have all been very nervous about this. And there was a lot of work over the past couple of weeks just to reach this stage, a massive roller coaster that we've been experiencing. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, test this again, test that again. In addition, we've got, have had to update the tax tables because we're rolling into a new year as well. Furthermore, we've been maintaining 2 systems, so we'll continue to do so for a period of time. So that's not just entering payroll information into Munis necessarily, but it's also making sure that Springbrook is there as a backup too and ready to go if we need to use that. So, you know, that's been a lot of work, but I've had an excellent payroll team. Really, we call them the dream team behind the scenes trying to really get this. I can tell you everyone yesterday was elated and bells ringing in the office as a result of it. So we are feeling really, really good overall, and we're excited to kind of see the other side of this and get to a very precise and state overall. And so, yeah, we're happy about it and moving forward. So we flipped the switch and the switch worked. That's so for council, if you don't mind, I would also just like advised our the employees across the city, please check your bank accounts. Make sure that you receive something. If you feel like you didn't receive something, send us an email so that we can get on top of that as quickly as possible. So there you go. Thank you.
Good job.
Oh, it's everyone back there if they were here. So including Jana. Jana certainly has been a huge part of that. But they need their sleep at some point too. And so they've gone home to rest.
Any other for discussion tonight? All right, if not, we'll go and adjourn. Thank you, everyone.